Welcome to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Hello anglers and welcome to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. I'm Brie Gabrielle and this guy right here is Captain Rick Murphy, and this week we're checking out the trout all over the state of Florida, Rick.
What do you think about that, Brie?
I'm so excited. But
Me too.
You are?
Yes, of course.
Of course. Well, joining us tonight at the CCA Workbench is Captain Harry.
It's great to be back here, and trout fishing is one of my favorites for the Biscayne Bay here, so I'm really excited to be back with you guys and have some fun tonight.
That is exciting, Harry, but you know, I
good.
don't think it's your only favorite. Guys, did you know that there's more money made on trout in the state of Florida than any other species?
You're absolutely right, Brie.
That's
very,
exciting, isn't it?
very good. Yes,
Very
very
good.
exciting.
And why is that?
Well, to tell you the truth, Brie, when I look at these saltwater photos, the thing that comes to mind is when the fish is 16 inches, a juvenile, his primary diet is shrimp. But the other thing that comes to mind is as he gets older, juveniles love to stay in the grass. And then as they get older, something over 16 inches and more mature, 80% of their diet becomes fin fish. And you're going to hear a lot about that tonight from all of our captains. Great pictures from Saltwater Sports.
Yes, those are very nice. One had one tooth, just one.
One
baby
tooth.
tooth. Okay, now for the region where April and May has the largest trout catches. Mike Holliday in the East region with the bearer of some trout-tastic news. Go ahead, Mike. Yeah, I know it's cheesy. Had to start it off with a bang, you know?
No doubt. I hear you. There's no doubt my region has the big trout. And during April and May, it seems like I catch a fish over 8 pounds on about every other trip. And those fish are up in shallow water along the docks of the Indian River on the west side of the river from Midway Road all the way up to the old fort in Fort Pierce. They're feeding aggressively from about first light to 9 a.m. And those big trout, like you said, like Rick was saying, they're like grassy areas with lots of potholes where they can lay in ambush or prey. They're lunging, grasping predators. They go by the pothole, they ambush them. They're super sensitive to sound and movement, so anytime you fish big trout, you always want to make the longest cast possible. Their main food source right now will be pinfish, pilchards, mullet, and sand perch. Any of those baits free-lined or fished under a popping cork will work. When I'm talking pinfish, I'm talking a hand-sized pinfish or a man-sized pinfish. You can also throw topwater plugs on the outside edges of the mullet schools or work the larger 5- and 6-inch soft plastics like a bass assassin meat hook colored saltwater shad or a Mississippi hippie colored 5-inch dye dapper. Fish those baits weedless on top, roll them across the potholes, and the fish will blow them up. I got a photo of a trout. That's about a 6-pounder that Steve Spencer caught. He caught that fish on an electric chicken colored bass assassin 5-inch shad.
Mike,
and the other deal going.
Wait, Mike, let me do the navionics before we get off beat here. Now, listen, guys, we're talking about the Stewart area, and certainly the Jensen Causeway is a great place to catch trout. Now, what Captain Mike told me, guys, is when they were digging out the area here for the bridge, as you can see by the sonar soundings here that Navionics provided for us, is that's where you got the deep drop-off. So whether you're on the north side or even the south side of the causeway, the key is to fish around those islands and those drop-offs. Now, as you get into the grass flats, you're going to find smaller trout, but if you want to catch a big one, look for them on the sand potholes, and Mike's going to tell you why.
Isn't that the truth? They like to get up on that sandy area because the mullet get in there. So, listen, the other bite I got going is the snook fishing continues to improve, particularly in the St. Lucie River, with a lot of larger fish being caught on the seawalls of the north and south forks of the St. Lucie. There's also been a good snook bite around the Coast Guard station in Fort Pierce and around Northbridge in Fort Pierce. Those guys using flare hawks or swimming plugs at night. And also the guys that are throwing topwater plugs in the Loxahatchee River around the Boy Scout camp at First Light are getting some really nice fish. A lot of male fish are showing up in the inlets, but the larger fish are still on the mullet schools in the Ermine River in Palm Beach and in Taylor Creek in Fort Pierce. And that spring push of silver mullets, it's pretty much in full swing. There's a lot of sand perch around, so the snook are locked in on both species. You can fish live mullet, topwater plugs, swimming plugs, fish them on the seawalls, or fish lipless crankbaits and shad-bodied soft plastics in the deeper holes and around the bridges at night. Average snook is 22 to 28 inches with plenty of fish up to 20 pounds caught this week.
All right, let's go ahead and go offshore, Mike.
Well, calmer seas over through the weekend. They're letting a lot of the smaller boats get offshore. there's been a marked increase of cobia reports in my region during the last week, and a lot of those fish are coming from the stretch of water between Jupiter Inlet and Jensen Public Beach. Places like the Sand Pile and some of the shallower wrecks and reefs in the area are holding a fair number of cobia. Most of them are piggybacking on the big bull sharks or on the rays that are on the bottom. There's also some fish coming out of 90 feet of water along the drop-off off Jupiter, but the majority of fish are coming in that north stretch up towards the Sand Pile and up towards Jensen Beach. What a lot of the charter captains are doing is slow trolling with live blue runners, thread fins or sardines. They're weighting them with a 1-ounce lead to get them down to about 30 feet. They're also using 50-pound braided line, 60-pound fluorocarbon leader, and a 5.0 VMC tournament circle hook. And when they hook a fish, they run right up to them, use that heavy line to get them up tight to the boat, and then fend off the sharks with a boat until they can gaff it. Average cobia has been anywhere between 30 and 40 pounds. And the last couple days, I was talking to Captain Glenn Cameron. He's on the Floridian charter boat out of Sailfish Marina in Stewart, and he was telling me the dolphin bite's been very consistent all week with a lot of mostly smaller fish in that 8 to 12 pound range, but good numbers of fish being caught on a daily basis. The bite seems to be in about 140 to 180 feet of water in Martin and St. Lucie counties, and then in Palm Beach County a little deeper, say 200 to 300 feet of water. And there are some bigger fish in the mix, but not the 50-pounders we were seeing last week, more 25, 30-pounders. Most of the guys are trolling ballyhoo or swimming mullet just to cover a lot of water. But you can also drift and put out live baits. The guys that are putting kites out are raising a good number of fish. And make sure you have pitch baits ready to throw to the smaller fish. And keep in mind, there's been a few wahoo around, so you might want to throw a little wire on close to the hook. There's also been some sailfish in the mix in those same depths.
You know, Mike, you talked the first week about the bass fishing in Okeechobee, last week South Florida. Anything from the north report?
We're moving up through Central Florida right now. Lake Tahoe's the place to go. It's only April, yet the bass bite on Lake Tahoe is more like a summertime bite. You know, there's two types of bites going on, the reaction bites and the feeding bites. The reaction bites around Goblets Cove and Little Grassy Island, they're coming for anglers fishing the shallow grass, mostly the Kissimmee grass, at first light, and throwing frogs or swim baits up into the grass and then buzzing them across the surface. That reaction bite will get you those big blow-ups, a mama's chicken or a June bug, chartreuse belly colored bait. That's what's going to work, something that looks like a bluegill. The offshore bite around the hydrilla beds is more where the feeding fish are holding. You can fish those areas with a drop shot or a Carolina rig, June bug or blueberry colored worm, a white spinner bait or a small lipless crankbait. You know, just work the edges of the hydrilla where the fish are holding out of the heat and in the deeper water. And you can also fish live shiners along the edges of the hydrilla, or if we get a good afternoon rainstorm, find the moving water near the mouth of Shingle Creek, and that'll produce some of the larger fish. Average catch right now is 15 to 20 bass a day with 2 to 3 pound average on the fish. So Tahoe's on fire, guys.
Great report from the Decks and Docks East region, Mike. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from your region. Inshore, spotted sea trout on the morning flats in Vero Beach, sea shads, topwater plugs, and live pinfish under a popping cork. And then offshore, blackfin tunas, live chum in 220 to 300 feet of water off of southern Palm Beach County. Use live pilchards for bait and 30-pound leader, Brie.
Great, Rick. Well, thanks, Mike. And now the trout man himself. Whoa. Let's go over to the Central West region with Captain Jeff Page. Woo-woo.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, Jeffrey.
Hey, y'all.
That Navionics Platinum Plus is just awesome, isn't it?
It sure is, bub. You no doubt about it.
I can't get over how detailed it is. Well, anyway, as y'all know, we have no shortage of trout in the Starbright Central West region. And April, May is probably the best time for not only catching big trout, but catching them on artificials. Look for some of the bigger fish holding on top of sandbars. I heard Mike talking about that. And grass flats mixed in with the bait schools. And it's different bait. It's not always just one type of bait. Sometimes it can be glass minnow. Sometimes it can be pilchard. Sometimes it can be finger mullet and big black mullet. The best scenario, Rick, is when all those baits are up there, and even some ballyhoo. Believe it or not, those big trout love eating ballyhoo. Some of the more productive lures that we use, topwater plugs like the Chrome Rapala Skitter Walk, that Super Spook Junior in chrome finish as well, and subsurface plugs like that Live Target Scale Sardine, soft plastic lures like the Saltwater Assassin, Bass Assassin 4-inch Sea Shad, or 5-inch jerkbait rigged weedless if fishing over shallow grass, or on an 1/8-ounce jig head over sand holes. Some of the more popular colors in my region include Houdini, Mama's 14 Carat, Chicken on a Chain, and my favorite, Golden Brim. Look for the fish on the flats and bars off Cape Hayes Point and Turtle Bay to the south part of my region, with more trout holding on the middle grounds and Long Bar Point in the middle part of the region, and the Bulkhead, Emerson Point, and flats off Joe Bay and Bishop's Harbor to the north. I got a photo tonight. Maybe you guys recognize this character. Maybe you don't.
Hey, you snuck that in there on me, dog.
What's wrong with that picture is we were in a redfish tournament, and we would have loved to turn that trout weight into redfish weight, but it didn't turn out that way.
You know, Brie, we caught 2 trout back to back like that. If we could have we should have taken them in and said, oh, wrong species, right tournament.
Oops.
Oops.
Oopsies.
All right, Jeffrey, tell me about the other stuff you got going on inshore.
Inshore, number 2, snook. Lots of snook, and I mean big snook, Rick, being taken on freeline pilchards, pinfish, and grunts around the passes and inlets in the entire region. Outgoing tide's been more productive than the incoming, and the lures guys are catching them on is the Rapala Ghost White X-Wrap, mid-size, doing real well, along with the Saltwater Assassin Violet Moon Sea Shad rigged on a 1/4-ounce silver jig head. Looks just like a pilchard. Stump Pass to Anna Maria Pass, as well as the flats just around Devilfish Key to the south and Terracea Bay, oyster bars and flats to the north. I've got a photo tonight of Adrienne, and I may get this last name wrong, Franchise or Franchise, with a nice snook she got while fishing with snook legend Captain Scott Moore.
Wow, what a great fish. Good job, Scott. Keep sending us those photos. All right, let's go offshore.
Offshore, species 1, the kingfish are still going strong. It's been the mainstay of a lot of the charter captains. They're being taken all over all the M reefs, and that's 45 to 65 feet of water. Live free-line thread fins have been working well. The bigger pilchards, as well as trolled X-wraps or spoons. Look for the action to hold up as long as the big schools of threadies are out there. What you want to do is get out there early, find these bottom areas, these artificial reefs, which are given to you by the charts in the county, and just get out there and look for the bait and troll around or cast free-line baits. I've got a photo tonight of Captain Scott's son, Captain Justin Moore, with a 45-pounder he got yesterday off Braden Beach in 40 feet of water.
Man, you go fishing with the Moors, you're going to catch them. Moors.
That's right.
More,
you're going to catch Moors.
Red grouper remains strong. All the guys catching them to the south off Venice, to the north off St. Pete, and the number seems to be 70 to 100 feet of water over good, hard bottom and ledges, as well as those M reefs that I mentioned about the kingfish. Live pinfish and frozen sardines are the ticket. Groupers are averaging 24 to 34 inches. Real quick, I just want to make a note. I'm going to be at Tampa Bay Outfitters this Saturday from 11 to 2, which is on 701 South Howard Avenue. I'm going to be with Ray from Okuma Tackle, and we're going to be talking inshore fishing, tarpon, redfish, trout, and snook, and showing some of the new rods and reels that Okuma's got out for this spring.
All right, great report from the Star-Tron Central West region. Jeffrey, I'm going to go ahead and get a look at the sea sucker hotspots from the Central West region. Inshore, snook. Lots are being caught at the night around the ICW docks and bridge fenders on fly and freeline shrimp. And then offshore, amberjacks, big AJs holding on the wrecks and ledges in 60 to 90 feet of water. Use live pinfish, Williamson Vortex jigs are going to be your best bet.
Just
what you
saying
saying, Brie?
It's like to be you.
Oh. You got to shave your head before you really know.
Yeah, that's not happening. All right, coming up, we're checking in with Jim Ross in the Central East region, and then we're going off the deep end with Harry at the Workbench.
Hey.
And you can't miss Rick's special fishing trip with Luke and his family from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. All right here on the Chevy, Florida Insider Fishing Report.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Chevy. Find new roads. Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Contender Boats. Performance through innovation. Humminbird. Simply, clearly, better. Decks and Docks Lumber Company, Florida's dock and seawall supplier. And King Sailfish Mounts. www.kingsailfish.com.
Which car company is the first and only to offer built-in 4G LTE Wi-Fi in cars, trucks, and crossovers? Ranking from top to bottom.
I'm going to say Mercedes is the innovator.
BMW just because they're pricey.
The final answer?
Chevy.
This model has the Wi-Fi in it?
Yep.
That's the dream, to have Wi-Fi in the car.
Get cash back for 15% of the MSRP on select 2015 models. That's over $3,100 on the Chevy Cruze. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Yamaha's next generation V6 4-strokes are changing the game.
Mid-range power was awesome.
Fuel, the burn, it's unbelievable.
Couldn't believe the speed and the fuel economy is pretty impressive.
I mean, I couldn't believe the power. It was like it was more like doing a quarter mile on a drag strip.
And them things are like, it's a whole nother game. So I made the switch.
Experience the difference for yourself during the Yamaha Discover V6 Offshore Demo Tour. See why we call it the Game Changer.
It's been said that a bad day of fishing is better than a good day at the office. But down here in the Florida Keys, we have to disagree. Because with over 200 of the world's best charter boat captains and guides, there's no such thing as a bad day of fishing. The Florida Keys and Key West.
Now it's time to go over the news and notes from the FWC. April 24th through the 26th, Chippewa Feather Fest Birding and Wildlife Festival is in Marianna, Florida. May 16th is the Kids Fishing Clinic in Fernandina, Florida. And for more information, you can visit myfwc.com. Now it's time to go visit Mr. Harry and Rick at the CCA Workbench. Woohoo!
Well, Harry, we're over here at the Hummingbird CCA Workbench, and we're talking about trout. So what do we want to? Yeah, let's do it.
Start off with a good rod and reel combo. The Shadow Stalker.
Yeah.
Right here, it's lightweight graphite. You can feel the bite.
Right.
We've got that 832 braid from Suffolk, and the new Helios reel. This thing is so light, Rick. You can cast all day long with this bad boy, and it's just a comfortable setup to fish with. It's got the no foam butt on it, because all these foams butts that you get, you don't feel the bite that well with all the graphite blanks going all the way through now.
Right.
You know, the Kuma stepped up the plate and they've come up with a nice combo right here.
All right, so we got the combo, but what are we going to put on it, Harry?
All right, well, trout fishing, obviously, you're going to look, some people like the deeper waters, little holes and ledges and stuff like that, channels, which we all, trout fishing, you're always seeking and you're moving around and everything like that. You can start out with something with just a simple trout type of deal, trout like that. Mm-hmm. And what I'll show you though, you got to be really careful when you're picking out, because some of these grubs, different styles have, like that's a quarter ounce, this is a quarter ounce, and this is a quarter ounce. This is the one from
VMC boxer jig.
Now look at the difference between the bite on these two here. If you put them like this and this, when you put the grubs on there,
right,
the bite turns into nothing on this little tiny hook. So you gotta, that wider gap hook is so much better. So when you put the grub, so now you only have that much of the hook sticking up.
Yeah, look, there's a good comparison.
There, and just that little bit makes a big difference when you're casting. You'll get a lot of bumps, a lot of hits, but you're not gonna hook as many fish.
Right.
And it just works out really, really well.
That's a good advice, good advice.
Yeah, and that's just something that we learned. Now, that's something that we also like to use is a jig that's gonna fall flat. There's several different jigs. Bucktail jigs. The deeper the water, you want to go a little heavier. You want a jig that's going to always fall with the hook up.
Right.
Hook up is always good. If the jig's constantly falling over, like a lima bean style, it's just going to snag the bottom, snag the weed, and everything like that, and it's just not as good. And then of course you have different boxer style jig heads for throwing a shrimp on there.
Yeah, so you'd take your shrimp and just hook it on
and just
here.
hook them up or just, back up.
Always important that when you have your yard fishing with live bait, that you have a barb on the hook, because the weight of the jig will hit hard, and if there's no barb, or a very small barb, a lot of times the shrimp just falls off.
And that happens a lot.
I promise you, that's tested and true.
Oh yeah, for sure. I learned by all of us. By all of us. Now there's different different deals. You got the rattling floats. You're gonna tie your line on the top of here, and then you're gonna use your leader from the bottom of this. Now you're not gonna want a 6-foot, 7-foot leader, because everything's short, so you can cast this.
Right.
And some of these are weighted, some are not. What you'll do is you can use with shrimp or with just regular jig heads and stuff like that. And you're going to wing it out and just pop it, and just let it sit, and the trout it goes crazy. And there's different styles. There's less expensive ones.
Little
rattles in them. These are weighted.
That's the difference, right, between the green
standard,
and the white.
Right. Your standard is like that, and that's your big difference. If you don't want, say, if you just like a penfish, go ahead and use a non-weighted float. You can wing that out.
Now, Harry, I see you got a de-hooker, an R&R de-hooker. What for?
Dude, this is so important to me. Every trout that comes up, and I release them, they have a very soft mouth. Just don't grab it with a wet rag or just grabbing it, stuff like just lean over, take it, and just de-hook it to come off real simple. And just, reverse the jig or with the lure, whatever you've got on there, and just shake it, and they pop right off. And it's a simple, easy way. Everybody uses it for bait, but I use it like crazy for trout.
So to make sure that I have that right, you don't want to grab the fish with your hand, because it does this
slime.
And it knocks the slime off. And then you actually, I've seen it where you've got fingerprints on the fish. If you put him in a cooler or a live well to take him home.
Sure.
In a few minutes, you look in there, he's discolored.
You got your handprint on him, and it looks terrible.
Great advice. I appreciate some great tips. I can't wait to get back over here and cover new products.
Oh, we got some really good stuff. One that I'm so excited about that you brought in that I've caught a lot of fish on.
All right, Brie, we got a secret coming up in the new products, but we got to go to a new region.
I have no idea what you're talking a trout. Okay, that was lame. I get it. Okay, moving on. Let's see what's crack-a-lackin' up with Captain Jim Ross in the Central East region.
Well, actually, Brie, it's what's speck-a-leckin'.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, I like it.
I love that.
We love our speckled trout up here, man. The anglers around Central East region love targeting these fish, and you can find them just about anywhere right now. It's kind of interesting because in the past week, I have caught trout as deep as 12.5 feet of water in some of the deeper channels, like the cut between the Banana River and the Indian River, called the Barge Canal. It's not typically known as a decent place to go trout fishing, but it's holding fish right now. So, it's one of those places where it's not a hot spot, but hey, there's fish there. And we got residential canals as well that are holding fish, but you know what? The shallow grass flats are holding throughout my entire region. And so we've had a really, really good trout bite the last couple of days. In fact, I think I was out here today, we had about 50 or maybe 55 with my trip today. So not bad. Most of them are 12 to 14 inches, but you get a couple 17 inches, and like today we had a 22 incher, so it's pretty nice. But I tell you what, Captain John Lulay has been consistently landing some gator trout lately, and he's had some fish up into the 10-pound range over on the Mosquito Lagoon side. Now, John was telling me that, for the big gators, you really want a live pinfish. That seems to be what's turning those fish on right now. And, you can get better numbers with using a popping cork and like an saltwater assassin quick cork or something like that. It rattles or pops. But live bait right now seems to be targeting those bigger fish. But you know what? If you're just out to have fun, those little assassin sea shad tails on a jig head underneath a quick cork, you can catch 20 to 30, sometimes 40 a person if you want to. And I've got that picture with Captain John's client, and hopefully I get his name right. It's Namir Youssef, I believe. And that is a pretty doggone nice trout that he has got right there.
That is a great one. Good picture, too. Thank you for sending that in. All right, Jim, what else you got for me inshore in the Central East region?
Well, the redfish, the lagoon waters have dropped drastically the last 4, 5, 6 days. And it's kind of turned the redfish on, which is a little different than what we normally see. Anglers were targeting singles, but now we're seeing small pods of fish, 4 to 10, sometimes 15 fish in a pod, in about 15 inches of water. And you want to throw soft plastics, things that imitate minnows, glass minnows, finger mullet. And once again, I keep going back to that saltwater assassin sea shad, but right now that
sugar and spice, and then also the Mama's 14 Karat seems to be doing pretty good. And then today, actually the last 2 days, the Bone Diamond color working really good because it's imitating those small fish. And anywhere where you see glass minnows and finger mullet mixed, you're probably going to find some ladyfish in there too. So catch a couple of those ladyfish, and you can use those for redfish bait if you cut them up and throw them out on the flat a little later in the day. I've got another picture here. This is Joe Capuano, and he came down and redfished with me last week, and we found one of those little pods we were talking about where they were busting the glass minnows and knocking them up in the air. They almost look like little jacks. And that was a big time. We found those fish at 2:30 in the afternoon. So anytime you go is a good time to go red fishing.
You're right.
Now, offshore, our king mackerel right now is still pretty darn good. Sardines, greenies, pogies, mullet, anything that you can put on a wire stinger rig. And a lot of guys are like, well, what's a wire stinger rig? I'm not really familiar with it, so especially new people into the sport. Well, it typically consists of either a single nose hook with a trailer hook on it or quote-unquote stinger hook. And that's what gives the type of rig its name. Or you can put double treble hooks on it, like a lot of the commercial guys do or a lot of the charter boats do. And that VMC 9626 4X strong number 4 treble hook is tough to beat. I'm telling you. And if you get a little bigger bait, step up to a size 2. Now, 3 to 5 size single strand wires, what they connect them with, where some anglers really like that little 60-strand 60-pound multi-stranded cable, and you can make a real quick rig with those. It's a little difficult to use the single nose hooks with that 60-pound multi-stranded cable, though, so I recommend the regular hard wire if you're going to use a front single nose hook. Most of our king mackerel right now are running 10 pounds to about 30 pounds, but we've had some fish that were pushing 40 here recently, so don't be surprised if one of those big old smokers comes rolling up next to the boat. Now, the other thing we have is dolphins. They've been hit or miss, but when you hit them, man, you're getting quite a few of them. And most of the guys are, typical dolphin tactics. They're trolling a ballyhoo up and down rips, weed lines, temperature breaks, things like that. And anywhere from 120 feet to about 300 feet. Or if you see flying fish or ballyhoo anywhere, drop baits in there because there's probably going to be dolphin around them. But the guys that want to catch the bigger fish are running over to the east side of the Gulf Stream out of the Central East region ports, and they're getting yellowfin tuna while they're there, but they're laying in really good-sized dolphin this month. Average fish on the western side of the stream is going to run 7 to 12 pounds. You get over to that east side of the stream, and your average fish is closer to 18 to 20, and a lot of fish up into the 30-pound range are over on that other side of the stream.
All right, super report from the Central East region. Let's take a look at the hookup lure hotspot from the Central East region. Inshore Mosquito Lagoon for large speckled trout. Use live pinfish or mullet near the mullet schools. And then offshore, slow troll live baits over 60 to 90-foot reefs for the kingfish. Brie.
Sounds good, Rick. Well, Fish Stock is coming up, which is the ultimate water sports lifestyle event you cannot miss, featuring 2 fishing tournaments inshore and offshore, boat shows, seminars, kids activities, food, and fun for the whole family, happening Memorial Day weekend, May 22nd through the 24th at Riverside Park in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. For more information, visit fishstock.com. But now, Rick, we have to go on a break. So next on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, we're going to get to know our Captain Tommy Derringer in the Northeast region a little better. Plus, we're checking out Rick's very special fishing trip with Luke from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Awesome time.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin. The best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventures. Guy Harvey Clothing by AFTCO. Drummond Community Bank. Costa Sunglasses. See what's out there. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now.
Guatemala. What does high-strength, roll-formed steel look like? Like this. Chevy Silverado. High-strength steel for high-strength dependability. Get $6,500 total value on this Silverado. Plus, Chevy owners get an additional $2,500. Plus 1 year of Sirius XM with every MLB game. See your local Chevy dealer today.
Fish Stock, the total saltwater experience, returns to New Smyrna Beach this Memorial Day weekend. Bring the whole gang to Riverside Park for an incredible family experience. Tournaments, boat shows, seminars, kids clinics, and the Fish Stock 5K Fun Run. Put your skills to the test in the Redfish Trout Challenge. And new this year, Boston Whaler and Marine Max offer $2,500 cash for the largest fish caught each day in the Offshore Striker Tournament. Don't miss out on the fun. Visit fishstock.com to register.
And we're back. Okay, ladies, time to shine once again for our CFFR, that's Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. If you don't know, ladies show filming on April 29th. It's a girls' night out, so go to our website to reserve your ticket and join us at our studio in Miami. But remember, seating is limited, so sign up ASAP at ChevyFloridaInsiderFishingReport.com. We need more estrogen in this set, Rick. Let me tell you and you. And Rick, last week in the audience, we had Luke, and you went fishing with him. Can you tell us all about it and how much fun it was?
It was awesome. I took Luke and his brother Ethan and his family, and we ran back into the Everglades, one of my favorite places, and it was cool to really show him that place. So let's take a look.
Let's see.
Luke is he's a pretty cool guy. When he was 13 months old is when we discovered, that he had cystic fibrosis, and it was, it came as quite a shock actually. He's done really well, and we're very blessed because of the care that they receive through the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and it really hasn't held him back from anything. He's played football, baseball. He got into fishing. Probably 2-3 years ago, he got a fishing pole for Christmas, and we live on a tiny little lake, and he just started fishing and really, just fell in love with it.
Hey, good job, bud.
Luke just has a passion for fishing, and I think he actually, I think he just started by just like watching fishing shows on Saturday morning, and he just really liked Captain Rick. He liked his demeanor. He liked his show.
You ready for a shrimp?
More shrimp.
All right. What was I thinking?
This was his top wish, was to meet Captain Rick and be out on the boat and learn from him how to catch great fish.
Make-A-Wish grants wishes to children with life-threatening illnesses, and really, it's an amazing foundation. It's something that adds color and light in a very dark time for many families.
We cannot be more thankful. We know that Luke is just overwhelmed with joy and excitement, and every step of the way has been so great. And it's just great to watch him be so excited and be so involved with one of his idols.
Yeah, and with his passion.
With his passion, yeah.
Hey, you know what? Thank you for coming with me today. You made it a special day.
Oh, Rick, that's awesome. At your point, at the point in your career that you are in, it's so cool that you can just give back to someone who looks up to you that much. So.
Well, his wish was my dream come true. So
that's
it's cool.
So cool. Yay. Good job. Okay, moving on to the Southwest region where this captain can sure catch them all. Ronnie Houston gives us the lowdown. Hey, Ronnie.
Hey, Bree, when we talk about trout on the southwest coast of Florida, it's mostly an inshore species all through the region. But certain times of the year you can catch trout on the beaches and nearshore structure. You want to target grass flats, potholes, troughs, channel edges, points with sweeping current, and oyster bar, just to name a few methods. Now, always generally through the whole state of Florida, wintertime is generally the best time, but they can be caught all through the region all year round. Now, probably the best way to find these fish and to get started would be to drift large grass flats, especially where potholes are abundant. Now, once you start to locate these fish, they're normally in schools and will eat just about anything. Now, once you find these fish, a couple of methods of staying with these fish would either be to anchor up, stick a push pole, or probably the most advanced and the best and simplest way would just to be strictly hit a button and let the power poles do the work. And I've had a lot of success catching fish by just putting down the power poles and being patient. Now, once they stop biting, repeat that same process again over and over until you get back into these schools. Now, baits would include live shrimp, pilchards. If I was looking to catch a big trout, finfish under a cork, and a variety of artificials, including topwater walk-the-dog lures, bass assassin soft plastic shrimp, foreign sea shad, paper shad, noise-making corks with soft plastics and a jig head, gold and silver spoons, and also subsurface lures between 1 and 3 feet in depth. Just about anything will catch these fish in your tackle box once you find them. Typically, typical size is 15 to 20 inches, but in the wintertime, when they're more abundant, plenty between 22 and 27. And I have a prime example of somebody fishing with Captain Haig, Team Chamois, with a beautiful trout in the northern end of the region. Now, here we go, still staying on the inshore side, the redfish. Here we are, we think we're in spring, but the temps are actually in the summertime. So from right now till about October, you can start practicing these patterns I talk about. From Big Pavilion to Tiger Key, concentrate on the last half of the incoming to the first half of the outgoing, strictly in outer Gulf points, especially where there's oyster bars and deadwood along the shoreline. And another key and an aid that would help you is also look for mullet schools, as these fish will be traveling with them. And the baits of choice would be live pilchards, which is an abundance of all through the region right now, cut shrimp on a knocker rig, topwater plugs and bone-in chartreuse, one of my favorite, half-ounce gold and silver spoons, and the Bass Assassin root beer paddle tail and copper chews foreign sea shad on a quarter-ounce jig head. Right now through the region on the southern end, fish are typically right now 20 to 30 inches. Now, with the beautiful weather we've had during the week and forecasted into the weekend, the red groupers on the offshore side right now from Sanibel to Stump Pass, concentrating in depths right now from 75 to 100 feet, and we strictly want to concentrate on hard bottom and ledges. Now, reports I've received, the small pieces of structure seem to be better, especially if bait is marking just above it. And chances are most people are hitting the bigger pieces, the noted structure and ledges. So I would typically say right now with the reports some of these captains are giving me, in and out, back and forth as you're running, you start marking these smaller pieces. Get out and venture around and start working some of this. Be very surprised what you would find on your own. Keep them secrets to yourself. Baits include pinfish, grunt, cut baits, again, working better than the live baits to include herring, squid, sardines, white bucktails tipped with squid, or glowworms. And a prime example of some fish caught in the southern end of the region by a guy who's great at it, Captain Mike Avenon, with Barbara May from Monticello. There's a pair of nice red groupers. Now also on the offshore side, cobia, Indian Key Pass to Gordon Pass, 7 to 20 miles out on most noticed structure. Now reports tell me at the switch of the tide when it's slack, guys are seeing more fish on top. But to look for these fish just above or on the bottom, on your bottom finder as you're coming through. And you know what? You get these fish around, coming pilchards and herring to bring these fish up. Also dropping down pinfish on the bottom is working well. Sight casting on top, live crabs, herring, bucktails, and large soft plastic 6 to 10 inch. Right now, the average size of the cobias in the region are 18 to 40 pounds. And like I say, with the weather and time of year, now's a good time to get out and catch them.
All right, great report, Ronnie. We're going to take a look at the Florida Outdoor Experience hotspots from the Southwest region. Inshore, Snook, Marco Island to Wiggins Pass, top of the high along the beaches, look for the bait pods. And then offshore, Permit, Naples to Fort Myers Beach, 5 to 15 miles out on most noted structure using live crabs.
Sweet, Rick. Well, you know, I had a little fishing trip of my own with Captain Tommy Derringer up in the Northeast region, and we sure had some fun. We caught tons of reds, black drums, and of course, trout, of course. And yeah, we caught them all over the St. Augustine waters. It was so much fun. So now we're going to take a little trip to the Derringer Zone. So you grew up here, right?
I did.
In St. Augustine? Born and raised?
I was actually born in Winter Park in Orlando, but moved here when I was like 1.5, so pretty much been here my whole life.
You know these waters.
You've got to know the waters when you have all this stuff, like all these oysters and stuff out here.
Yeah.
Or you can get in trouble really fast.
Tommy, what makes this region so special?
Well, I think, you know, a lot of people don't come here because it's a fishing destination. They come here to see the historic stuff in St. Augustine. But it's cool because the fishing is actually really good here. So
Obviously.
Obviously. Get big trout like this.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's very old Florida. You know, you don't get a whole lot of old Florida left in Florida. You know, in this area, it really looks like it used to be probably a couple hundred years ago.
So why is red fishing your favorite?
They're fun to catch, good to eat, pretty fish. Awesome.
Awesome.
Awesome fish.
Tommy, black drum. What are we, 1-1?
1-1.
1-1, awesome. Well, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for taking this out. This was great.
It was fun.
I had a blast. You're very knowledgeable. I can't wait to start a new season with you.
I'm excited.
So, welcome aboard.
Thank
nice
you so
eat?
much. Yeah.
You know, Brie, I'm gonna tell you, when I had hair, it was just like that. You didn't.
Yeah?
That was before you. Yeah.
Really? You had hair once?
Good looking hair.
Oh, I can't imagine. You must have been such a ladies' man. Now, the man himself, Tommy Derringer from the Northeast region. Be careful, Tommy. Everyone knows what you look like now, and apparently, Rick looked like you too.
Oh, man. Hey, Brie. Hey, Rick.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, that was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was.
How you guys doing?
Pretty good. Ready to
Hey,
talk
this is
about
a
some
perfect-
trout? Woo.
Yeah, man, this is a perfect week to talk about trout here in the Northeast region. You know, with all the bait and we've got these nice warming water temperatures, that trout bite has really started to pick up. You know, our region has a really good trout bite pretty much year-round, but the springtime is my favorite time to target them, and especially target the big gator trout. Most of my clients' big trout catches come off top water or subsurface plugs during some lower light conditions, like first thing in the morning and then right again before dark. Now, Casacola, Stokes, and Capot Creeks in St. Augustine will all hold some big trout this time of year, and I would fish those oyster bars at the mouth of those creeks and the drop-offs next to the deeper holes up in those creeks, and that's where we're going to find some of those big trout. And those trout are going to be staging up in those areas, waiting for bait fish, and hopefully their plug to swim by. I've got a picture here. I think we probably saw it on the video there a second ago. This is Brie with her trout, one of the nicer trout she caught with me a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
This is the one fish. This is the one fish that she actually caught herself. All those other ones, you know, we had to reel them halfway.
Are you
No, I'm just.
I love it,
You're
Tommy.
in trouble. I caught more than you.
I know you did. She's a great angler. I'm just
Hey,
kidding.
that
but
trout was pregnant, right?
it was. That was a big trout right
That was a
there.
big trout.
So now that one she caught was on the go-to rig for most Northeast Florida trout fishermen. It's a live shrimp under a cork, and there's a lot of slot-sized trout being caught on that rig right now. Now I would fish that rig along the shell bars and the creek mouth on the outgoing tide, right along the intercoastal from just south of the 312 bridge in St. Augustine, all the way up to Mayport and Jacksonville. Now, speaking of trout in Jacksonville, I spoke to Rick's old buddy, Captain Tony Bozzella from TonyBozzella.com, and he tells me he's been catching some nice trout early in the AM along the ICW and in the north end of the St. Johns River, right around the Mayport area. Now, he says there's a few big trout showing up, and he's had a couple of fish this week over that 6-pound mark, but there's also a lot of smaller fish around. Now, he's been catching those trout in Mayport by fishing ledges in about 3 to 7 feet of water. He's looking for any type of structure or point that's holding a lot of bait, and that best bite's going to be when the water's moving. His lures of choice have been hard plastic diving plugs in bait fish patterns. I got a picture here that Captain Tony sent me. This is him and his client, Bill Carr, with one monster of a sea trout that they caught on a diving plug right there in that Mayport area.
Man, what a big fish.
That is a fat fish. Now, I've got to talk about how good the redfish bite has been. All the captains I've talked to this week have been on a great redfish bite. The low tide has been on fire both along the intercoastal and up in those creeks and flats. Now, this weekend, we have a really good negative low tide in the afternoon. And with the tide being super low, those redfish are going to be bunched up in the creek holes and in the deeper areas of the flats pretty much throughout the entire region. Now, up shallow on the flats, they're eating both live and cut mullet really well right now, and blue crab. And in the creek holes, you really can't beat a shrimp or a mud minnow on a quarter-inch jig head. Now, we also have a good early morning high tide this weekend. So tossing a topwater skitter walk along the grass lines for redfish and trout is going to be a really good bet. You're going to want to look for concentrations of bait along those grass lines and fish those areas hard with that topwater.
All right, let's go
Now, moving
offshore.
on.
Yeah, let's go, Tommy. Got to hurry.
All right, I spoke to Captain Robert Johnson from JodyLynnCharters.com, and he tells me the wahoo bite's been really good from about 120 feet out to the ledge. I got a picture here that Captain Robert sent me. This is his mate, Ryan Leary, along with Brandon Blake, with a 65-pound wahoo they caught recently on the Jody Lynn.
Man, that's
now,
a
the
real
real story offshore is going to be the dolphin bite. Dolphin bite's been really good. Captain Robert said he's been averaging over 20 dolphin a trip on his charters recently.
and he's been catching most of those on skirted ballyhoo. Now he's looking for weed lines on the temperature break and on the current edges from the ledge on out. Now on the bottom, Robert says that fishing in 20 to 21 fathoms is really good right now. They're getting their limits of amberjack, triggers, sea bass, beeliners, and also mangrove and mutton snapper. I also spoke with Captain Jeff Crabtree from RightSpotCharters.com, and he tells me he thinks this is going to be the year of the blue marlin here in the Northeast region. There's a bunch of good fish being caught over the last couple of weeks. And Jeff wanted me to tell everybody that the Northeast Florida region is a great place to catch blue marlin. I'm sure Dave will agree with that. And if you're looking to do it right now, it's definitely a good time to go. He's been catching those marlin from the ledge on out to about 1,200 feet. He's been using some O-Snap trolling lures, and those are made locally right here in Jacksonville.
All right, thanks, Tommy. Great report. Looking forward to talking to you again next week. Going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Northeast region. Redfish, trout, black drum using live shrimp in the deeper creek holes throughout the entire region on the afternoon negative low tide. And then offshore, dolphin, troll skirted ballyhoo at the temperature break, and on the current edge, look for those baits in the weed lines.
Tommy caught all the fish. Whatever. When we come back on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, we're checking in with the Northwest region and then checking out some new products with Harry at the Workbench. Stick around, we'll be back.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by the Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. Hookup Lures, premium lures for serious anglers. FWC, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. La Jolla Resort, a place for family and fishermen. Navionics, we start where the road ends. Maverick Boat Company, celebrating 30 years of leadership in innovation, conservation, and stability. And First National Bank, your first choice for better banking.
It's 200 streamlined horsepower of Yamaha forward thinking. The all-new F200 inline 4-stroke. Whether you're an offshore angler, pontoon cruiser, bay boater, or walleye hunter, the responsive and fuel-efficient F200 combines amazing power and versatility in one incredibly compact and lightweight package. The all-new F200. Legendary Yamaha reliability and the freedom of forward thinking.
You know there's more to it than luck. There's fishing the right bait, the water temperature, the wind, the season, and then there's the boat. We'll put it simply, the boat matters. To own a Contender is to own the best sport fishing boat on the market, period. Contender offers the most comprehensive model range with bigger, faster, and more fuel-efficient boats than the competition. There's only one choice for serious anglers. Contender Boats. Performance through innovation.
Hey, you remember when we were hanging out last night? You know, me, you, Gail.
That's my girl.
You guys are awesome. And then you went to bed.
I was tired.
You were super tired. And then it was just me and Gail.
Mm-hmm.
Alone.
What?
Oh, yeah!
It's all in the paws. New Shadow Wrap from Rapala.
New products, certainly you sell a lot of them at Captain Harry's. We're here at the CCA Workbench. Harry, what are we talking about this week?
This is, you know, when you think it's all over with, Stearns came out with a really nice device. You know, you have the neck ones that go around here, they inflate and all this. They've come out with one that goes around your waist.
Right.
Now, you have to be 16 years old or 80 pounds or more, so we qualify for that. And what's great about this, it just goes around your waist. Now, when you fall over, you pull the tab.
Right.
It'll expand. It makes you float belly up.
Right.
Which is great. Then you just take the strap and put it around your neck.
The thing that I like about this is how thin it is. In the past, a lot of the ones that you wore in front of you, not the suspender type, but the ones you wore on your belt, they were so big and bulky that you couldn't fish around them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
this is a lot better. Nice job by Stearns.
For a lot of guys that fall over a lot.
Yep. Hey, Sea Sucker.
This is pretty cool.
All right, so let's show
here. Let's show how this guy works here.
So Sea Sucker is one of our new sponsors. They're the hotspot sponsor. But the key is, now watch, guys. They make all different types of products. You're gonna stick that on there, and I'm gonna pump this orange tab until it stops. Now, once it stops and it's not showing orange, I know that it's loaded. Check it out. Look.
Look at that.
That is something that is on there. Now, the only way we can get it off
Don't do it.
is this little tab right here in the front. We just pinch that and it comes
pops
off.
right off.
Now we can take this where we go. The cool part is it comes with a variety of different size cans.
Plier holders,
plier
knife
holder,
holders.
knife holder. You can, when you're washing your boat, put your hooks and lures so they get rinsed. Then before you put them back,
Right.
they have for a water bottle as well as the different size cans that we often take in the boat. Great job by Sea Soaker.
And that'll fit on any boat.
Yeah.
Small boat, big boat, it doesn't matter. If you don't
John
have the
boat,
room, you can
canoe.
move it around. Yeah, as long as it's a
You
smooth
can even
surface.
stick it on your Yeti.
You could do that also if you'd like to. All right, this was brought back by popular demand. This is a lure that you showed me a couple years ago, whatever. And let me tell you what, I caught a ton of fish on this guy right here. This is your twitching wrap. And we brought him in at the shop, and we've sold 100 or more already. And we've got all the different colors.
Different
on
shapes
these
and
guys,
sizes.
different shapes and sizes and all that. And again, this is a trout time, right? These things here, just trout wallop on these guys.
The key to
And,
Harry
it's really,
it's a
really
very, very popular lure in Rapala's lineup in Florida because it looks a lot like a pilchard.
Yep.
And that's what we certainly use a lot of here.
And the action of this particular lure is just incredible, the way it just flutters and drops on the way down. Now this is pretty cool. You know, that Flambeau came up with this deal here with their boxes. Now they've got, gives you an idea of the old school. Look how rusty this looks inside here.
Yeah.
That's from the lures and stuff like that.
That's correct.
And that's what happens with this particular deal. You get all the rust in there, and it looks terrible after a while.
And
But now
these
they've
blue
come up with this
tabs.
blue tabs that prevents the rusting on the hooks and stuff like that. And it works very well, and it's on all their boxes.
Yeah, it's called the Z-Rust tab, and they come in all the Flambeau boxes. The competition,
in that
as you can see, doesn't have that, and
Nobody has
hence this is what happens to your box when you don't have
And
that.
everything starts rusting out, which I like because I want them to buy more tackle because I want it to rust out. But even the smaller boxes that carry your jigs and stuff,
Yeah.
they have the blue tabs, and they're all adjustable, so you can move them around any position that you'd like.
So this blue thing has actually a rust preventative chemical in it, patented and by Flambeau. Good job by them.
Yep, they did a great job.
Good job by you, Harry.
Thanks. Again, I'm glad to be back here.
And I know Brie's going to continue to do a good job. So where are we going next, Brie?
Well, now it's time for Captain Jeff Hageman in the Northwest region to talk to us about the most popular fish in his region.
Trout are the most popular fish in my region. They can be caught throughout my entire region. It's one of the most fished fish in my region. You can catch them on spinning rods, spinning tackle, fly rod is a great way to do it, casting tackle. Topwater baits work well for them. They're an ambush predator. We've got a lot of grass in my region, throughout my entire region, and that's the place trout likes to be. They're an ambush predator, like I said. Anywhere that grass, I talk about broken bottom a lot when I talk about my reports about trout. That broken bottom is when that sand and that grass meet, and you have little potholes all throughout the grass flats. That's where these trout are going to hang up and ambush the baits and shrimp and stuff as it comes across as the tide's moving. They average anywhere from 2 to 5 pounds in my region. We get the occasional 8-pounder. In the summer months, they tend to head a little bit deeper water, and you want to look out there in that 12 feet of water, 10 feet of water. It's a little harder to find them that way because you can't usually see them when you're drifting over the grass flats, but work your jigs a little bit slower. A pinfish under a popping cork, a shrimp under a popping cork, this is something the whole family can get out there and go do. It's fun, and they're good to eat, too. Also inshore, Captain Mario Costello out of Crystal River reports big black drum are starting to show up along the oyster bars and around the Florida Barge Canal in Yankeetown. It's an opportunity to get out there and sight cast some very big fish on very light tackle. It's also a great time to get the fly rods out, just like I was talking about with the trout, and chase down these fish. They'll chase down a fly just as easy as they will a cut shrimp or a crab. Drum tend to feed a lot on smell, so dipping your fly in a little bit of crab juice will help a little bit. They do tend to feed on smell, so that's a little trick that I tend to find with them. They average anywhere right now from 25 to 35 pounds, and a few topping the scales at 50-pound mark. Moving offshore, the kingfish are in full force. Every wreck, reef, or rock pile, or a piece of hard bottom in my lower part of my region right now seem to have kingfish all over them. Fast trolling Magnum Rapalas or gator spoons is very effective. Also, you can slow troll live baits, blue runners, redfin herring, and pilchards work really well slow trolled over those. Or you can just anchor up on the structure. If you're going to anchor up, I suggest to get above the tide on the structure you're at. So your chum bag and your chum slick that you're sending back there will get these fish coming right to the back of the boat. Chum bag never hurts, like I said about earlier. Cut up some baits, that works really good too. Our fish are running right now anywhere from 9 to 30 pounds with that occasional 40-plus pound smoker out there too. And Spanish mackerel are mixed into that mix. Anywhere you're finding them right now, they're usually tending to be a little bit shallower than the kingfish. They're not running all the way out to that 70-foot mark. But that 35, 40-foot mark, there's plenty of Spanish mackerel out there right now. Use a little bit of wire leader. Chum bag works great, like I said about the kingfish. You're going to bring both of those into the mix. And right now they're running anywhere from 1 to 4 pounds, and it's a family event. And speaking of a family event, we've got the Star Tournament. Going to start pretty soon on this Memorial Day weekend. They're going to kick this thing off. Got nearly $500,000 in prizes. They're going to release 80 tagged redfish out there. So this is something that not only the guys can go out and do. There's a ladies division. There's a youth division. They're giving away a lot of cool stuff. A lot of boats. There's trucks they're giving away. You can find out more information on the tournament at www.ccafloridastar.com.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Great report from the Yeti Northwest region. We're going to take a look at the Drummond Community Bank hotspots from the Northwest region. Inshore snook on the outgoing tide. Fish the passes and bridges using sardines and pinfish for bait. And then offshore kingfish and mackerel on the artificial reefs from 25 to 60 feet. Slow troll live sardines and thread fins breathe.
Don't drift off, Rick. We're visiting the Keys and Panhandle regions when we return right here on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Oh, Mary Poppins is in the house.
Yeah.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Rapala. Catch the latest at Rapala.com. StarTron. Cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Yeti Coolers. Built for the wild. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 30 years. Guy Harvey, marine wildlife artist and conservationist. And Sea Sucker, vacuum mounting systems.
Serious fishermen demand quality equipment on their boats and on shore. That's why Florida boaters have trusted Decks and Docks for over 20 years for dock lumber, hardware, and accessories. Tough products that stand up to the roughest environments, and elegance to please the most discerning homeowner tastes. Decks and Docks, supplying waterfront customers with lumber, decking, and seawall, with 10 locations across Florida.
Chevy Colorado. When you find new roads, you win Motor Trend's Truck of the Year.
We're here at Power Pole headquarters, and today's Power Pole tip of the week is about the lineup. In the lineup of Power Poles, you have the Pro Series, which comes in 6 to 8 feet. They're black and white in color. Then you have to my left, the Blade. The Blade comes in black, white, red, and blue, and 8 to 10 foot lengths. And then we have the Micro for all you guys in kayaks, as well as John boats, or maybe somebody who wants to anchor from the bow. And we have a stake that you can do up to 8.5 feet on that. And then we have the Sportsman Series, which comes in black anodized, and that's the only color, and 8 foot. Now for you lightweight guys, the Signature Series is perfect for your small technical poling skiffs. All of these come with feature Sea Monster as well as a variety of different remotes. So you can put your remotes or your foot switches up on the top of your tower or someplace on the bow, and it gives you great power pole control. And that's today's Power Pole Tip of the Week.
Fins to the left, fins to the right. Rick, who is that? Who sings
Jimmy
that?
Buffett.
I saw him in concert on Thursday.
Come on.
And oh man, wouldn't it be fun to be in Margaritaville fishing with him and Captain Randy Tao and oh, Randy, hey, you're on.
Hey, good evening, fish fans. Well, I didn't make the Jimmy Buffett concert, but I heard a lot of people did. So
Oh, it was so good.
it was like a big time.
It was so good.
You-
Cheeseburger in
you know-
paradise. Okay, go ahead.
You know, trout in my area, we catch them in the backcountry, right behind Isla Morada, and we catch them also back toward Flamingo. And there's a few ways you can go about doing this. It's certainly a very popular fish for a lot of people to go catch because it doesn't take a lot of, tricky stuff to catch them. Believe it or not, if you get in the backcountry and you find some of these muddy areas, and as you're going through the bay, you'll see that the water gets a little different color. And if you see some white bottom out in the middle of the bay, that's probably a trout mud. And if you go in there with a light spinning rod and a popping cork and a live shrimp, you're almost guaranteed to get a trout out of that. Now, that's a real popular way to catch trout with the popping cork. And in the muds, if you know what to look for, you look for those bright areas. If you find those muds, you can do pretty well. Now, toward Flamingo, if you want to get back over there on the outgoing tide, when you have the water on the flats getting low, a lot of these fish will move off the flats, then they'll get into the channel. Same thing with the popping cork, or you can try a quarter-ounce hookup jig tipped with a shrimp, and if you fish along those edges of those channels, you're going to do pretty well on that outgoing tide. The tarpon fishing right now still a pretty good bite, and it sounds like the bait bite has been a little better because of the wind. We've had some wind the last few days, and the backcountry has slowed down just a little bit, but plenty of fish around the bridges. I talked to Captain Frankie Ortiz, who's a guide out of the Lorelei in Isla Morada, and he was telling me he's been doing very well around the bridges in the upper keys like T-Table, Indian Key, Lignum Vitae Bridge, and he's been having some real good luck on live mullet. Now, live mullet right now seems to be the best bait, and also if you fish them on the bottom, a lot of times these mullet, you can take and fish them live on the bottom or fish them dead, split tail them, and they've been working really good. You want to have a little water movement to make that scenario work for you with a bottom bait. The offshore stuff right now, mutton snappers. You know, I love my bottom fishing. I love catching yellowtails and mutton snappers. And right now, from 80 feet, which is just off the edge of the reef, out to about 200 feet where we have some of these deeper wrecks, guys are picking away at some nice mutton snappers, anywhere from 10 to 15 pounds. Now, there's a couple of ways to do that. If you want to drift, that's what I like to do. I drift with a medium-heavy conventional rod with braided line and a live ballyhoo on a long leader. I'm fishing almost 40 feet of leader, 30 pounds, no more than 40 on my leader for mutton snapper fishing. And we're catching some real nice mutton snappers. Just drifting around some of these live bottoms where you look on your GPS and it'll say HD, and those hard bottom areas are good areas to drift. Now, your drift's going to vary with the wind and the current. If you've got a condition where you're going to parallel the coast, that's the best way to stay in that right depth of water and cover ground. A little bit further offshore, our blackfin tunas are biting. There's been plenty of tunas on all the offshore humps, from Isla Morada to Marathon. Some of the guys are trolling. They're using a dark feather or very small dark lures, or even what we call the black worm, trolling around on these humps, catching some nice tunas. Now, if you really want to ramp up and catch the big ones, you need live bait, you need pilchards. That's the best bait out there, and you're going to chum a little bit. You're going to get up current to the pump. You're going to throw out a scoop of pilchards, and you're going to put your baits out there, and you're going to wait for the tunas to pop them and come up to the surface. You want to have a pretty stout rod, like a 20 to 30 pound spinning rod, because the sharks are there just the same as these tunas. I've got a photo of good buddy of mine, Chip Costantini from Orlando, with a real nice mutton, he was able to get away from those sharks. Or tuna, I'm sorry.
All right, it's all right, Randy. Thanks. We're going to go ahead and get to the La Jolla hotspots from the Florida Keys. Captain Randy says inshore trout. Look along the edges of the channels near Flamingo on the outgoing tide. Use quarter-ounce hookups with the shrimp. And then offshore, the blackfin tunas he talked about. Look on the offshore humps of Isla Mirada to Marathon. Troll dark feathers in 200 feet of water and way back. Now, you know, Brie?
Yes.
The C1 team and I are going to actually be in Key West this weekend, fishing the final sail tournament. I'm very excited to be down there with John Cooper, Joe Niebuhr, and the whole team, Quentin Dieterle, and hopefully we'll do well.
How exciting. Well, with my Keys hat on, I'm going to tell you about some tournaments in the Florida Keys.
Looks pretty good.
Thank you. Presented by Ocean Reef Club in Key Largo, the inaugural Hooked Up Invitational set for April 24th to the 26th features master chefs and celebrities hooking up for $500,000 in prizes. A $10,000 first prize awaits the angler with the largest bull and cow combined at the Marathon Offshore Bull and Cow Dolphin Tournament, May 1st through the 3rd. There's also prizes for anglers catching the largest dolphin, wahoo, tuna, triple tail, grouper, and snapper. The Nick Sheehan Dolphin Rodeo, set for May 1st to the 3rd in Isla Mirada, benefits a namesake community scholarship fund. Among cash prizes is $25,000 to the angler catching a dolphin that beats the state record. Marathon's Tarpon Tournament is set for May 3rd through the 6th. Rules mandate teams fish with a different captain each evening and rotate among 3 major bridge channels in Marathon so that potential hotspots are shared. And now let's hear from our trusty correspondent in the Florida Keys, Andy Newman.
Hi guys, we're featuring a new Florida Keys tournament that fits well with this week's theme species. It's the Isla Mirada Spring Classic, Friday through Sunday, April 24th to the 26th. The Classic is a bayside and gulfside competition for anglers who are professionally guided or on their own. Targeted species: trout, snapper, jacks, cobia, mackerel, tarpon, redfish, snook, and triple tail. Winners in adult, teen, and junior divisions are to be awarded for most releases daily and overall. More details at IslaMiradaClassic.com, and for more information on other tournaments and fishing in the Florida Keys, it's FLAKeys.com. Back to you in the studio.
Okie dokie, Andy. Now we've got Captain Pat Deneen on the line, who is more ready than ever. Go, Pat.
Hey, Bree, I tell you what, speckled trout is the year-round fishery. With the biggest fish are usually caught late April through May. And right now, the trouts are transitioning from their winter areas and the creeks and bayous out into the bay grass flats. The best trout bite that I've heard of lately has been over in the Blacks Island area of St. Joe Bay. They're catching them live shrimps, topwater baits, and soft plastics. In Chattahoochee Bay, Captain Troy Forbes of 38 Guide Service, he's been doing real well on the grass flats just outside of the bayou mouths using a live shrimp under a popping cork. Rig your baits and lures on 10 to 15 pound leaders. Use a light 3000 series spinning outfit. And recently we've had some heavy rains, which will most likely push the trout out of the upper bay areas down in the lower areas, like out of the Escambia and Blackwater areas in the lower bay sections. Another popular technique besides targeting the grass flats is to fish at night under the dock lights using a live shrimp or a live bait and a small lure. And we seldom see the giant trout like they have in Holidays region, but I did see a nice picture of a 7.5 pound fish caught this past week on the south side of Chattahoochee Bay, so we do have some decent trout. Staying inshore, the Spanish mackerel, they've moved into the area in a big way, particularly in the Panama City and east of that area. We've had some steady Spanish action in Chattahoochee Bay and Pensacola Bay, and the fishing for them should keep improving, but the best bite has definitely been in the eastern part of the region. Most productive way to target them is to troll a multiple hook straw rig ahead of a small spoon on medium spinning tackle. You can also cast jigs, spoons, chug bugs, bubble rigs on light spinning tackle, or if you're a fly fisherman, use a streamer or a clouser. Rig your lures on 30 to 40 pound leader to minimize cutoffs, and target your efforts in the passes and also on the edges of the flats near the passes. The Spanish are running 12 to 15 inches. There's some fish up to and over 20 inches being caught. So that's been a pretty consistent bite. Moving offshore, but staying with the mackerel theme, is the king mackerel. The last week and a half, some big schools of cigar minnows have showed up along the beaches, and the kings have showed up with those bait schools. They've been catching some really good kings off the area piers by free lining live and dead cigar minnows or casting rattle traps. The boats are catching them just outside the passes and also along the outer sandbars by slow trolling live baits. They're hooking their baits, their cigar minnows and herrings in the nose, and then slow trolling them around the bait schools, and they're rigging it with a stinger hook, a little stinger hook treble hook near the bait's tail. It's been a good size bunch of kings, 10 to 15 pounds for the schoolies, but I've seen plenty of fish in the 20 to 30 pound range being caught, and the bigger fish definitely seem to be coming off the piers. And then staying offshore, this past week the weather conditions have been tough for cobia fishing. There's been a lot of rain, a lot of clouds, a lot of bumpy seas, but there's been some good fish still being caught. Scott and Andy on the full pull, once again, they showed their ability to catch and to find and catch big cobia. They weighed in an 89-pounder, winning the Harbor Dock tournament. Numerous other fish in the 50 to 70-pound range were caught. The turtles and the rays have produced a lot of the fish this past week. So if you're out there fishing, pay particular attention to bottom rays, manta rays, the eagle rays, and also the turtles, especially the black turtles. And there's another nice photo, an action shot of cobia. Whoa. And that was on the poor decision out of Destin. And that's Clint Hood sticking the steel to a very nice size cobia.
Wow. Man, good report. Keep those great pictures coming, Pat. They've been awesome. Gonna go ahead and take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle region inshore. Beaches of Shell Island in Panama City for pompano on jigs and sand fleas, and then offshore slow troll live cigar minnows around the nearshore bait schools for kings and Spanish mackerels, Brie.
Rick, we have our last captain of the night coming up from the East region, and of course our Coastal Conservation Minute Tip, all right here on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Looking good, Brie.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Chevy. Find new roads. Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Suffix. The world's most hardcore fishing line. The IGFA, Conservation Through Education. Get your hands wet. Florida Outdoor Experience. Captain Harry's Fishing Supply Company. And there's no stopping Okuma.
Introducing Helmmaster, Yamaha's first fully integrated digital boat control system. With Helmmaster, you can start your outboards with a swipe of a paw and control them with a single lever. Outboard trim and steering friction adjust automatically as you accelerate and decelerate. Adjust engine speed with the touch of a button. The Helmmaster joystick provides the means to navigate and dock precisely with confidence and ease. Take control of your next vessel with Helmmaster at your command.
Fish Stock, the total saltwater experience, returns to New Smyrna Beach this Memorial Day weekend. Bring the whole gang to Riverside Park for an incredible family experience. Tournaments, boat shows, seminars, kids clinics, and the Fish Stock 5K Fun Run. Put your skills to the test in the Redfish Trout Challenge. And new this year, Boston Whaler and Marine Max offer $2,500 cash for the largest fish caught each day in the Offshore Striker Tournament. Don't miss out on the fun. Visit fishstock.com to register.
Introducing the Yeti Hopper. Leak-proof, ice for days, tough as nails. Built to go the extra mile, and then some.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
What does high-strength, roll-formed steel look like? Like this. Chevy Silverado. High-strength steel for high-strength dependability. Get $6,500 total value on this Silverado. Plus, Chevy owners get an additional $2,500. Plus 1 year of Sirius XM with every MLB game. See your local Chevy dealer today.
Today's Coastal Conservation Minute is about removing plastic from our oceans. Now guys, remember this. We can't actually control what blows up on our shorelines, but we can control what we do put in our boat. Now remember, if you go to the store, maybe a plastic container that's reusable would be the next form that you would want to use, instead of buying a whole bunch of water bottles. The other thing that comes to mind is certainly the parts that you carry those plastic bottles with, they actually can be problematic because they're mistaken for jellyfish, and fish will eat them as well as other animals, and it's a problem. If you have monofilament or braided line issues where you have a tangle and you want to cut it off, make sure you dispose of it in a place in the boat that's been designated for trash. The reason why this is so important is because certainly you can dispose of it when you get home, but more importantly, it's not overboard. That's today's Costa Conservation Minute. It's about removing the plastic from our oceans. You know, Brie, worldwide, there's enough stuff, plastic, that's washing up on our shorelines that equates to the bigger than the state of Texas.
I don't want to hear it. That's
So
horrible.
we gotta do our part,
Yes,
guys.
we
We
do.
gotta be stewards of clean up and set the example.
Yes, we do. Everyone
job,
set that
Costa.
example. Good job. Costa Conservation Minute tip right there, ready for you.
man.
Okay, and now to close us out with a bang, Captain Jimbo Thomas from the Southeast region, ready and rockin'. Go.
That's right, Bree. Hey, Rick.
Hey.
Outlaw. Well,
Outlaw, there he is.
there he is.
There he is.
All right, Jimbo, go, baby, go.
All right, you got it. Some of the best sea trout fishing in the region can be found on the west side of Biscayne Bay, from Mercy Hospital south to Gables by the Sea, and then in the north part of Biscayne Bay, from Venetian Causeway north to Oliver Inlet. Up in the north part of Biscayne Bay, some of the once lush grass flats, they're mysteriously dying off for some reason. Maybe it's from all the silt from the dredging government cut, but nobody really has an answer, so you just have to look for those healthy-looking flats. Now, on the north end of the region, trout can be found on the east side of the Lake Worth Lagoon and the Intercoastal Waterway from Southern Boulevard Bridge south to Hypoluxo Island. Look for trout on grass flats in 3 to 8 feet of water. Fish them with small live pilchards, herring, or pinfish under a Cajun Thunder. And then artificial lures like Rapala Shad Rap, Skitter and Subwalk, and hook up or Bass Assassin jig head with the Gulf shrimp. Now the best flats to fish are going to be the ones that are holding bait. Look for schools of small pilchards or mullet, and that is where the trout are going to be. Now most of these trout are in the 15 to 20 inch range, but larger ones up to 5 pounds are not uncommon. Captain Alan Sherman aboard Gidim Charters, he specializes in fishing Biscayne Bay. He could not find a sea trout 2 weeks ago, but in the last week, he says that the trout have appeared from nowhere. He's been catching 20 to 30 trout up to 5 pounds on half-day charters. And he's been fishing any of the grass flats south of Oliver Inlet. And he's using small live pilchards under the Cajun Thunder and quarter-ounce red hookup jig head with the Gulf shrimp. Now, I got a photo here. This is Ken Friedman and his son Ryan, with Ryan's 4.5-pound, 23-inch speckled sea trout that ate a pilchard fish under a Cajun Thunder. This fish was one of 25 sea trout that they caught during a half-day charter up in North Biscayne Bay.
That's awesome.
Oh, look at the
Good
bugger.
job. Good job.
That is some good fishing.
Yeah, it
now,
is.
we also got some great tarpon fishing. It remains good, just like it has been for the last few weeks in the inlets, also around the Intercoastal Waterway bridges and the lit dock lights, and also in any of the deeper holes in Biscayne Bay. The best bite's going to be in the early morning, then in the late afternoons and evenings using large live shrimp, medium-sized live crabs, live mullet, pinfish, and Rapala magnums. Look for any obvious current rip or color change. This is most likely where those tarpon are going to be feeding, and both the incoming and outgoing tide has been good, just so long as that water is moving. And a lot of these tarpon, especially in the inlets, have been in the 100-pound range. Now, offshore, the conditions along the edge of the Gulf Stream have been favorable most days with north current and decent colored water, and therefore the sail fishing has been good throughout the region. Now, down in the Miami area, the bait's been hard to come by. We've been using any bait that we can get. We've had bites on the few herrings, pilchards, and goggle eyes that we've managed to find, as well as on blue runners, pinfish, and cigar minnows. Then on the days that we've had some wind, we've been fishing our live baits under the kite. And on the days with no wind, we've been drifting them or fishing them out of the outriggers in 100 to 250 feet of water. There's been quite a few sails jumping, so keep an eye out for free jumping sails. If you can get the baits lined up with them, there's a good chance for a bite. On average, the boats have been getting anywhere from 3 to 10 sail bites per day, but Captain Dean Panos aboard Double D, he had a banner day earlier in the week with 17 sailfish releases along with the white marlin release. Now, that is some great fishing there. Now, also offshore, blackfin tuna in the 10 to 20 pound range are starting to show up, and the size and the amount of them should continue to improve through May. These tunas in the last week are being caught in 120 to 200 feet of water on live herring and pilchards fished under the kite. And most of these tunas, they're bycatch while live baiting the edge of the Gulf Stream for sailfish. Light leaders, preferably fluorocarbon, and smaller hooks are going to get more tuna bites. And since these tunas are low light feeders, best bite's going to be early in the mornings and then in the late afternoons. Now, since we've been struggling with bait all week, it hasn't been a factor for us. But if you can find enough pilchards to live chum with, it'll definitely increase those odds of catching a nice tuna for some sushi for dinner. I got a photo here. This is Daniel Valadez from Austin, Texas, with a 15-pound blackfin tuna that he caught aboard the Thomas Flyer, and that tuna became some great sushi.
All right, good job, Jimbo. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the First National Bank of South Florida inshore. Fish small live baits on jigs with gulp shrimp on the lush grass flats of North Biscayne Bay for sea trout. You can tell I'm thinking about fly fishing. And then offshore, drift the kite fish with live herrings, goggle eyes, pilchards in 100 to 300 feet of water for a mixed bag of sailfish, kingfish, mahis, and blackfin tuna.
Fly! Fly away! Fly. Speaking of flying away, there you go. We've almost reached shore, everyone, but you won't want to miss what species is on the chopping block for next week. Don't go away or fly away.
Which car company is the first and only to offer built-in 4G LTE Wi-Fi in cars, trucks, and crossovers, ranking from top to bottom?
I'm going to say Mercedes is the innovator.
BMW just because they're pricey.
The final answer? Chevy.
This model has the Wi-Fi in it?
Yep.
That's the dream, to have Wi-Fi in the car.
Get cash back for 15% of the MSRP on select 2015 models. That's over $3,100 on the Chevy Cruze. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
It's 200 streamlined horsepower of Yamaha forward thinking. The all-new F200 inline four-stroke. Whether you're an offshore angler, pontoon cruiser, bay boater, or walleye hunter, the responsive and fuel-efficient F200 combines amazing power and versatility in one incredibly compact and lightweight package. The all-new F200. Legendary Yamaha reliability and the freedom of forward thinking.
Forage fish are small fish that hold marine food webs together. Put simply, forage fish like pilchards turn sunshine into snook. The IGFA and other conservation organizations are working with the FWC to improve forage fish management in Florida. Ensuring that there's enough food in the water for our game fish will maintain Florida's legacy as the fishing capital of the world. Visit floridaforagefish.org to learn more and to sign the Forage Fish Pledge.
Thanks for tuning in to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter to keep up with our captains, contests, and appearances. You never have to miss a show. You can find full episodes of the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report right on your YouTube channel. And make sure to check out our website for fishing reports in your region. Visit www.ChevyFloridaInsiderFishingReport.com for everything you need to know to stay hooked up. Next week on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, we're talking sailfish. Yay! Make sure to tune in to SunSports every Thursday. Plus, you can catch repeats of the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report on Fridays and Saturdays. Check your local listings 4 times. Hey, guys.
So,
hey,
Harry,
men.
let's talk a little bit about the old Miami Billfish
Well, the
tournament.
Miami Billfish is now the Miami Sport Fishing Tournament, and it's got a brand new format that is absolutely awesome for everybody. It's not just catching sailfish now. You're only allowed 3 sailfish, you're 3 dolphin, 3 king, 3 wahoo, 3 tuna, 3 cobia, all those fish
fun.
aggregate. It's the biggest payout in all the tournaments.
When
right
is it?
now.
Yeah.
That's going to be April 25th is the fishing day. So it's the 23rd to the 25th.
Have
Thank
fun.
you for being here.
Yeah,
hey guys,
thanks
for
Raymond.
watching. We appreciate you very,
Bye-bye.
very much.